Hey everybody, it's Alex at Motoroso.com, your dedicated marketplace for all your mods, and we are in the studio today to do a product spotlight and installation guide on the Icon Vehicle Dynamics Attitude Adjustment Leveling Kit for the 2017 and up Ford Raptor, and that is for our 2019 Raptor Bolt-on Build project. And we've got tons more great mods and installations coming. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to see that, and of course all of our other builds coming up, including our 2020 C8 Corvette, which we are really excited about. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the features of this product, then we'll show you the step-by-step installation. If you want to buy this product or any others, go to Motoroso.com where you can browse a million top name brand products sold by trusted vendors at great prices, and the shipping is always free with no minimum. Let's dig in. Just like most trucks that come from the factory, the Raptor is no different in that it sits about 2 inches higher in the rear, and that's to accommodate for load going in the bed of the truck so that the truck goes back to being level. But like everybody else, 99.5% of the time, you're probably driving around with nothing in the bed of the truck. Instead, the truck looks a little bit raked forward. And so a leveling kit is the way that you bring up the front end of the truck about 2 inches and make the whole thing look level. Now, typically a leveling kit is a strut spacer, and this Icon Vehicle Dynamics kit is a little bit different than most other leveling kits. It does include a strut spacer, but that strut spacer is only a half of an inch thick. Then it includes this collar that goes around the strut itself and effectively adds preload to the spring so that the spring sits a little bit, so the truck sits a little bit higher. Now what's cool about this setup is this actually enables 5 different setting options from the one same kit. A lot of times when you get a leveling kit, it's just a 2 inch or a 3 inch or whatever it is. In this case, you have 5 different settings to choose from, and I'll take you through them. You can just use the spacer and get a ½ inch of leveling lift in the front, and that's not a lot, obviously. Probably barely even notice that. I don't think most people are buying this kit just to put that spacer in. You can then use the collar and just use the 1.5 inch setting, which will show you there. If that's pointing up, now you've got 1.5 inches if you use the spacer. If you don't use the spacer, that gives you 1 inch of lift. Use that together with the spacer, now you have that 1.5 inch, so that's 3 of your settings. Next, you can turn this collar over and not run the spacer, and that gives you 1.75 inches of lift. And then if you run it with the 2.25 and the spacer facing up, then that will be your full 2.25 inches of lift. Now we're gonna install this with the 1.75 inches of lift. We don't want the full 2.25, we're not gonna use the strut spacer, but we'll show you how to use it if you want to. Tools you'll need for this job include a spring compressor, which of course you can buy on Motoroso.com, and we'll put the link to that in the description, a mallet, 10, 18, 21, and 24 millimeter sockets, an 18 millimeter ratcheting wrench, a 6 millimeter Allen key, braking bar, and a ratchet for all your sockets. First, jack up the truck and remove the wheels. Jack up the lower control arm to release the tension in the coilover. Remove the 2 10 millimeter hold-down bolts for the ABS and brake lines. Remove the 18 millimeter nut for the sway bar end link. Remove the 18 millimeter upper control arm ball joint nut using a crescent wrench to hold the lower portion of the ball joint in place. Remove the 21 millimeter tie rod nut and separate the tie rod from the drop knuckle and lay the drop knuckle off to the side. Begin removing the 3 18 millimeter top hat nuts with a ratcheting 18 millimeter wrench. In the engine bay, undo the wiring harness connector and feed it back down into the wheel well. Now lower the drop knuckle assembly. Remove the lower 24mm bolt and nut for the shock. Make sure to remove any additional connectors on the spring. Now you're ready to remove the coilover from the truck. With the coilover out, make alignment marks on the spring bucket and top hat. Position your spring compressors and begin compressing the spring. If you're using the spring compressors we recommend at the beginning of this video, we recommend not using an impact gun to make sure to maintain control over the spring compressor. Undo the 2 Christmas tree clips around the base of the coilover. With the wire out of the way, use a rubber mallet to move the spring bucket down the coilover to remove the 2 shims. Set up the new Icon Vehicle Dynamics collar by removing the 4 6mm Allen bolts, and make sure to prep them with thread locker. We recommend using red thread locker. Now you have to be able to line up the new collar in the same position as the wedge that was previously holding the spring bucket in place. And we didn't quite get the spring compressed enough, so we had to continue compressing the spring until that collar can be pressed into place. Make sure the collar is pressed fully into place on the strut and tighten down the 4 6mm Allen bolts evenly. Line up the top hat and spring bucket like they were before using a mallet to make adjustments. Hammer the spring bucket down onto the Icon collar. With the spring bucket wedged onto the collar, begin slowly and evenly removing the spring compressors. Install the top hat spacer, making sure it is fully pressed down on the top hat. Slide the coilover into the upper mount and install one of the 18mm nuts, letting the coilover hang in place. Now's a good time to have a friend help press down on the drop knuckle assembly to push the lower mount of the coilover into the lower control arm, and then press the 24mm bolt through the lower mounting position. Tighten the lower mounting bolt as tight as possible. Tighten the last 2 18mm nuts on the top hat with a ratcheting combination wrench. Begin plugging all the wiring back into its OEM position on the base of the strut and on the clip on the back of the spring, feeding it up into the engine bay. Jack the drop knuckle assembly up and begin installing the tie rod by tightening down the 18mm nut. Press the upper control arm down into the drop knuckle to get the first few threads started. With a few of the threads started, grab the lower end of the stud with an adjustable wrench and tighten down the 18mm nut. Tighten up the 18mm nut on the end link. Reinstall the two 10mm bolts and tabs for the ABS and brake line to the drop knuckle. Bring the truck back up off your jack stands to make sure you have enough clearance to reinstall your wheel.
All right, that wraps up our install guide for the Icon Vehicle Dynamics Attitude Adjustment Leveling Kit on our 2019 Raptor. Now, during the installation, you may have noticed that we said in the open we were going to do the 1.75 inch configuration. We decided to go at the last minute with the 1.5 inch configuration, which means we used the lower spring compression on the collar, and we did use the strut spacer at the top. It's only a 1/4 inch difference, but we thought that might make sense because it's less spring preload, and that means the ride will maintain a softer ride than adding preload, which will make it a little bit stiffer. So 1/4 inch difference. We're very, very happy with it. You can definitely notice it, plus we get that extra clearance. Now, during the installation, you'll also notice that we use those strut compressors to compress the spring. Now, we sell those in pairs on Motoroso for $28 to $30 a piece. Sorry, per pair. We end up using 2 sets. So if you're gonna do that with those tools, make sure you buy 2 sets of those, because one single set is not enough to get the compression on that spring you need. Now, if you liked the video and it was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It helps us with our YouTube channel. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we've got tons more mods coming on our 2019 Raptor Bolt-on Build. And we've got our 2020 C8 Corvette coming. You're not going to want to miss any of that. Now, you can shop for all the products that we install at Motoroso.com, where you can browse these and over 1 million top name brand products sold by trusted vendors at great prices, and the shipping is always free with no minimum. We can't do these videos without you guys watching, so we really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching.